Hello, I'm Deb Laurel, and I welcome you to What Managers Need to Know. And we're looking at a five-part theme on taking the pain out of delegation. If you'd please put your name, your location, and your title in the comments, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Last week, we looked at what delegation is, and we looked at the raw theory of delegation: responsibility, authority, and accountability. And we also discussed what are the reasons why many managers choose not to delegate. And among those barriers to delegation were not understanding how to delegate in a way that helps the employee and helps the manager. And so today we're going to be looking at why a manager should delegate. The purpose of this program is to provide managers, particularly new managers, with information about management concepts, tools, and tips that will help them be successful in their roles. The format is having a different management theme each month, and our theme for this month is taking the pain out of delegation. 5 brief weekly sessions will provide a new concept, tip, or tool related to that theme. A little bit about me. I taught for the Executive Management Institute and the Small Business Development Center at the University of Wisconsin-Madison School of Business for 30 years. I've been a workplace learning and performance improvement consultant with my own business for 50 years. I started when I was 2. So we looked at what delegation involves last week. We're looking at why delegate this week. So there are certain benefits of delegation for you, for the employee, and for the organization. And I'd like to discuss what those are. If you have any ideas, please put them in the chat. So first, how does delegating benefit you as a manager? Well, clearly, the more you delegate, the more opportunity you will have to seek and accept increased responsibility from your own managers. It also frees your time and energy up to focus on high priority tasks and strategic planning. Delegating helps you develop leadership skills because it requires good communication, trust building, and empowerment, which are essential for successful management. There's also a marketing component because you are talking an employee into taking on additional responsibilities. And you need to be able to speak in language that is effective with that employee and shows how taking on the additional tasks will help that employee in terms of expanding their repertoire of skills and helping prepare them for additional higher levels of authority. Delegating helps a manager encourages a manager to clearly define tasks, set goals, and establish expectations, promoting accountability and reducing the risk of misunderstandings. You do have to be very, very clear about what you expect of an employee, what the deadlines are, how you're going to monitor, and what level of decision-making authority you're going to provide to that manager. Because as we discussed last week, it's important to keep some sense of control over what's going on, so you're not blindsided if there is a problem. By delegating routine or administrative tasks, you can focus on more critical and creative aspects of your job, leading to improved performance and innovation. And while those may be routine or administrative for you, they may provide some growth opportunities for your employees because they would be taking on responsibilities that they're going to have to perform once they achieve a leadership role. Delegating allows you to step back and let your team members take ownership of tasks, promoting autonomy and reducing micromanagement. And it only reduces micromanagement if you recognize that it's all right for them to make mistakes, that you can minimize the impact of those mistakes by identifying what the milestones are and how you're going to stay in touch with that employee during that time of delegation. Now let's look at what the benefits are of delegation for the employee. First of all, delegation causes employees to accept responsibility and exercise judgment. When you provide responsibilities and you're going to hold them accountable, you identify what level of decision-making authority they have, which means that there are certain decisions they're going to now be making, and you set the level of those decisions, and we'll discuss that in week 4. It helps to train employees as well as to improve their self-confidence and willingness to take initiative. Many employees are interested in moving up, and it's hard to move up if you're not given additional responsibilities that help broaden your skills. When we delegate, the employee receives opportunities to develop new skills, take on new challenges, and build confidence in their abilities. Because there's also the fact that if you have chosen them to take on delegated responsibilities, you are showing that you have confidence in their abilities, and that builds their own self-confidence. They feel more engaged, motivated, and satisfied with their work, since they have a sense of purpose and accomplishment. Now, hopefully they have a sense of purpose and accomplishment in any work that they do as part of their job. But this extends that, and that's pretty exciting for many employees. When you delegate, the employee is prepared for future roles and responsibilities. This helps them advance in their careers and take on leadership positions. And if you've paid any attention to the reason why employees leave organizations these days, if there's not a bad manager, which accounts for 70% of employees voluntarily leaving an organization, that many of them claim that they are willing to go to an organization and even take a pay cut if they can see that they're going to have opportunities for advancement. And when you delegate, you're giving them the skills they need for that advancement. Delegating to employees also demonstrates trust in their ability, fostering a sense of loyalty and commitment to the organization, as well as to you. Delegating for the employee gives them the freedom to work independently, make decisions, and take ownership of their tasks, promoting autonomy and self-motivation. And now let's look at the benefits of delegation for the organization itself. Delegation frequently leads to better decisions, since employees closest to the firing line are likely to have a clearer view of the facts and how to solve the problem. That's a very important piece here. We delegate as managers because we want to take on additional responsibilities ourselves and be free to step back and be more creative and more strategic. It helps the employees develop the skills they need to be more effective and to move up in the organization. But it also moves decision-making to the level where the employee is interacting most closely with the client or customer. And then they're able to make those decisions necessary at the time, which is to the benefit of the organization, the customer or client, to you as well as the employee. So we've mentioned that it speeds up decision-making, particularly if they're authorized to make decisions when necessary. Delegating to employees benefits the organization because it streamlines tasks, reduces duplication of effort, and increases productivity, leading to improved efficiency and resource allocation. As we've mentioned, it promotes employee engagement, motivation, and job satisfaction. This is going to reduce turnover rates and improve overall organizational performance and employee morale. And when employees are happy, generally the organization is happy and clients are best served and customers are served the best. It helps identify and develop talent within the organization, ensuring that the right people are in the right roles. And since our jobs as managers are to develop the leaders for the future, to plan succession, this is the way we can identify and build the skills of employees who are ready to move into leadership roles. It allows employees to take ownership of tasks and explore new approaches, leading to innovative solutions and improvements. You may be very clear as a manager as to what you'd like to accomplish, what is the end goal, but how the employee achieves that may be entirely up to the employee, and they may come up with much more original, innovative, and effective ways to accomplish the task. It enables the organization to scale operations more efficiently, since tasks can be delegated to team members, freeing up senior leadership to focus on strategy and growth. So now there's time for discussion and questions. What questions or discussions? Let's see. Oh, here. Okay. What if you do not trust the employees? Well, that's a very important question, isn't it? First of all, who hired them? If you hired them and you don't trust them, then there is something probably wrong with the hiring decision that you made. And we will be talking about hiring much later in the season, where we use behavioral questions. If this happens, how would you handle it? Which can give us a better sense of the employee's ethics, morale, and decision-making capabilities. But if you don't trust an employee and yet you need to delegate to them, then you need to be very, very clear about what level of authority or decision-making authority that employee is going to get. In some instances, you can say, whenever this situation occurs, or whenever a customer complains, or whenever I can't think of another whenever, but you can really prescribe how many decisions and what level of decision that employee can make. I think talking with that employee is also important, because if you don't trust the employee, you probably don't want to delegate to that employee. And if you feel that you don't have anybody else that you can rely on, then getting that out in the open. I don't feel that what our experience has been so far has made me feel that I can trust that you are going to follow through or you're going to meet deadlines. And so let's talk about how you can build my trust back in you. What are milestones going to be? And how is this going to be monitored so that both you and I know that the task is being performed the way it should be performed? I hope that's responsive, Tabitha. Does delegation allow managers to see how well the employee handles a specific scenario prior to the promotion? Absolutely. That's really one of the prime benefits of delegation in terms of the employee's benefit, because it gives the employee an opportunity to show what they can do. The employee was, the employee was sent from another department. Instead of firing them, someone relocated them, and now I have the problem they had, and I do not trust them. I see. So that's why you wouldn't trust the employee. This was not an original hire by you. The employee was sent from another department instead of firing them. Problem they had, and I do not trust them. I think my previous response stands here. First of all, we need to recognize that some employees and managers are just not going to coexist well. And what may have gotten in the way of that employee's prior involvement with the original manager may not pertain now. But if it does, what are the reasons why we might not trust an employee? They're not honest. They hide mistakes. They don't meet deadlines. They have excuses. There's a lot of absenteeism. If that's the case, I would argue that this is not a person to delegate to. And if you must delegate, then, as I mentioned before, you've got to be very, very clear. This is what I'd like you to do. This is by when it needs to be done. If you run into any issues or problems achieving this by that time, I expect that you will let me know immediately. In the meantime, the way we're going to monitor is that we're going to meet briefly every day at 4:00, or every other day, or once a week, to discuss where you are with this task and what the issues are and how you're addressing them. That would be my recommendation for dealing with an employee that you don't trust. And of course, again, as I mentioned before, getting that out in the open. For this reason, and this reason, I have not had a reason to trust you. And then coach them for performance. Oh, awesome. You're welcome. Thank you for bringing that up, Tabitha. All right. How is our time? Any other questions or concerns about delegating? All right, then. Thank you, Tabitha. I sincerely appreciate your bringing up those issues. So, what is your key takeaway? We've talked about why delegating is important for the employee, for you, the manager, for the organization itself. And we've talked about what to do if you don't trust that employee. All right. Well, last week we talked about what delegation involves. Today we've talked about why delegate, and the key feedback that we've received for today is I need to be clear in my expectations and to test the waters before promoting is fair and acceptable. Thank you. So next week, we're going to talk about when to delegate. What are the triggers that indicate it's time, it's appropriate, it needs to happen? So I want to thank you for sharing your time with me and hope that you have a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you for coming. Oh, I have another response here too. That delegation is necessary. And yes, Kat, thank you so much. It is necessary. If we as managers don't want to get burnt out, if we're juggling much too much, then we need to have the capability of passing on some of our responsibilities to our staff, not to overburden them, but to help them develop skills and show their capabilities. So thank you, Kat, for that. And thank you both for sharing your time with me. Have a great rest of the week.